Welcome into the ICC Hour, being presented to you by our friends over at Renasant Bank. I'm Adam Gore, and I'm glad you can spend part of your day with us here this afternoon on SuperTalk. Now, today's show is going to be a little bit different, but it's one I think you're still going to enjoy. We're going to look back at a conversation we had on campus in November when ICC alumnus Chase Parham and Jeff Roberson came to speak to our Humanities Club about their book, Stories from Ole Miss Baseball. And really, that title kind of tells you a lot about where the conversation goes. Yes, it's about baseball, but it's also about the people around the game, the moments that stay with you, and the stories that help connect generations from players, coaches, fans, and the communities. Chase and Jeff have spent a lot of their time around the sport, but more than that, they spend a lot of time listening, asking questions, and finding the stories behind what happens on the field. So this is a really good conversation that has a really good mix to it. There's baseball, of course, but there's memories. There are some behind-the-scenes moments, and there's also a lot of reflection of what it means to tell the stories the right way. We'll also jump into the future of journalism and hear their thoughts on how much the business has changed over the years. We'll talk about the way technology has reshaped the jobs, how audience consumes the stories, and, of course, how AI is already influencing the industry. Now, this is an abbreviated version of our full conversation. If you want to watch the entirety of the interview, you can find it on our Athletics YouTube channel by simply searching From ICC to the SEC. That's the title of the video, From ICC to the SEC. And don't forget, while you're there, be sure and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future interviews, stories, features, highlights from ICC Athletics. Now, we're going to step away and hear from Renasant Bank. And when we come back, we'll revisit our conversation with ICC alumnus Chase Parham and Jeff Roberson here on the ICC Hour.
Guys, you're not going to believe the luck I've had lately. Just the other day, I had a flat tire, thought I was in big trouble. Before I know it, somebody pulled over, fixed the tire.
Oh, that's not luck, Kirk. It's because
that's not the only thing. How about when I'm in a studio, drop the cell phone, bang, shatters completely. Guy hands me a brand new cell phone.
Yeah, Kirk, that's because you have Renasant Rewards Extra.
Yeah, roadside assistance, cell phone protection, coupon straight to your phone.
And another discount with Renasant Rewards Extra, Mr. Herbstreit.
Life's just easier when you have Renasant Rewards Extra.
Are you in the market for a new or used vehicle? Look no further than Metro Ford. We have an incredible selection of F-150s, Explorers, Broncos, and so much more. Whether you're looking for a rugged truck for the job site or a family-friendly SUV, our expert team is here to help you find the perfect vehicle to fit your lifestyle and budget. And with our streamlined financing process, getting behind the wheel of your dream car has never been easier. Stop by today and experience the Metro Ford difference. We're conveniently located at 1000 Barnes Crossing Road in Tupelo. Online at MetroFordAutoSales.com. That's MetroFordAutoSales.com.
It all leads to this moment. It started with stepping out and discovering what you're capable of. Planning your future while learning, serving, and getting a real collegiate experience. Because the place you start can change everything. Itawamba Community College. You belong here.
Chase, Jeff, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Great crowd out today. I know it's been a great day for you guys. And just real quick before we jump into the questions, just talk about the day and how it's gone so far.
Yeah, it's been fabulous just to be back in general. I got an opportunity a couple years ago, I guess now, to serve on the Humanities School of Humanities alumni board or advisory board, whatever we're calling it. Sorry, and it's been a great honor and blessing for me because I told somebody earlier today that I do a lot of things at Ole Miss and I do things other places, but this is where I got my start. And coming back and the level that people care and that really there's a connection that is deeper and bigger and that I really care about the place. So it's been an honor for me to be here to spend this day. Thanks for everybody who helped organize it, obviously Masha, and just to see people make new connections, to network, and hopefully, teach some of the students things that I knew at the time and things that I didn't know at the time that I wish I did. So that's kind of where I'm at today.
Absolutely. Jeff?
Well, it's really good to be here, and thank all of y'all for being here, and I'm glad to be on board with Chase and Adam. I'm not an ICC alum, but I am from Baldwin, so I am in the neighborhood. So it is great to be here, and we've had a good day so far, and looking forward to this, and I think it'll be fun.
So we're talking about the book, Stories from Ole Miss Baseball. And Jeff, let's start with you. What was the original inspiration for the book? Was it a particular game, maybe a player, or maybe an idea that kind of sparked this concept for you?
Well, I think the main inspiration for this book, and there were a couple of them in this state about the same time, but the one in 2022 was Ole Miss's national championship, and that kind of sparked some other books, and then this too. And so that kind of put us over the top to be able to do something that we think and hope is special in this book of stories. And it is a story book. It is a book of shorter stories where, you can enjoy them and read them and maybe not have to go through the whole book and, just take your time and read it. But the inspiration for it is, I guess I've covered Ole Miss baseball for 35 years. And as I put in my bio a couple places, I think I've covered over 1,000 games. So I was a little inspired. I told Coach Bianco one day, not too long ago, I said I've spent more time at Oxford University Stadium, Swayze Field, than any place in Oxford but my house. So, that was kind of my inspiration, and to be able to do it with Chase was special.
Yeah, I think that's the lead up for me is we had talked about this for a while, and you need the right environment for the book. You are trying to sell it. There is that. And the title gave that in 22, but beyond that, and I'm not just saying this, it was to work with Jeff. Jeff hired me for my first job out of college, my first full-time job, and we've covered so many games together in years. And in a lot of ways, we've defined our professional career by baseball and baseball coverage. And to do that with him was an important thing for me to do at this step of my career and at this point in time. And then the other part is that Ole Miss baseball, there's a rhythm to Oxford in the spring when it's good. And it has a tangible personality to it in so many different ways. And I thought, hey, we can tell this for fans, young or old, stories of how we got here, why it matters. And Jeff's exactly right. Mississippi State's very similar. They win the title in 21, and Starkville has the same kind of rhythm. And this is a college baseball state. So how do we show and how do we prove that it's not just an era, but it's a special thing that's happened from the beginning? And we go all the way back to 1871, I think, is the first story in this book. And it really does. It tells stories of ebbs and flows, but there's so many personalities and so many important people that why do people love this team? Why do people love this program and this town in the spring because of it? And what can we show that, really defines why people care and why they fill up the stadium every single weekend?
Now, one thing my coaches don't like about me here is you'll say something to make me think of another question that's not on the list. So I apologize in advance for that. But you talked about stories from the 1800s. How did you go find those, confirm those, and, just legitimize those?
I'll take that, Chase, because Chase and I discussed this a good bit, especially from his point of view, which was originally, and you may have heard her say, I worked on a book called Stories from 125 Years of Ole Miss Football. That was back in 2019. Several of us worked on that book. And this one, I wanted to call Stories from 150 Years of Ole Miss Baseball. Chase kind of pointed out a few things why we might not should call it that. And so I was very comfortable not calling it, putting the number on it. So, as far as, because we couldn't really go back and get a lot of stories from that far back, yearbooks, there was a book called that Dr. David Sansing, a former historian at Ole Miss and a history teacher, had written a sesquicentennial book, 150 Years of Ole Miss. And so we got some stories out of there. Long story short, we were able to find some old stories because there are not too many people that were hanging around the 1800s that are still here. But it worked out well, so because we got a few in there, and then we were able to pick up about World War II, 1950s. There's still some people in Oxford and other areas that played on some baseball teams in the 1950s at Ole Miss and on College World Series teams. So it was a few pages early, and then it got to be more of a modern book after that. So Chase had a good idea about not calling it 100.
Well, here's the benefit too: is nobody can prove you wrong. So if you have a story from 1890, one person goes, "Hey, I think this is what happened." Sounds good. It's a great story. It's going in the book. We're done right there. So there is a lot of that that
it would have to be somebody's great grandchild or something that said, "No, that's not right."
Yeah. Well, let's kind of piggyback off that. So that was, you talking about the book name change from there. Were there any other type of changes that went on the concept from the original to the final draft to it being published? Did you change anything or any storylines or any ideas along the way?
My biggest thing, and Jeff and I discussed this a lot, was that because you didn't have a ton of information from the beginning, let's not organize it where we feel like we have something from every year or to make it read like an encyclopedia. Let's just simply document the years, but make it more along the way. And I think we made it a little more casual in that aspect. And it was a huge change that I think went for the good there, because we were playing off the football version of this book that was very much this year, then this year, then this year. And we show the year, but it's not so locked into that concept. Let's just find the best stories. Let's talk to as many people as we can, and then let's go from there. And like you said, there's a few from really early on. The very first story in the book from 1871 is one of my favorite things there, just because it shows the time period, because Ole Miss on their athletics website says that baseball started in 1893. But as he said through Dr. Sansing, they tracked it back to 1871, where Ole Miss had played a game in Holly Springs in 1871. And there's this letter that's in the book it is one of my 5 favorite things from the book. And it's a letter from one of the team members to the Lyceum, to the chancellor president of Ole Miss, asking to play a game in Water Valley on a Friday night. And this is like 1875. And he promises 2 things. He says, we will be back for class on Monday and we'll stay away from the whiskey. And that's the 2 things they said. And sure enough, they go, they play the game. They sent a faculty rep with them. They didn't let them go by themselves. And he
chaperone.
Chaperone. And they go, hey, how does that work? But I guess they were taking horse and buggy. Even though it's just Water Valley, there was a process to that. So, we were able to, in some ways, even identify earlier time periods than the university currently recognizes.
One thing in that same section of the book, it also said that the students were getting smarter and smarter. They made the faculty honorary members of the baseball team, so they got in good with them that way. So we found some things like that were kind of good for the book.
Well, let's just piggyback off that as well. Are there any stories that maybe you didn't know about, or maybe some that you talk about are your favorite stories that are in the book? Just some of those talking points or stories in the book that may maybe intrigue some other people that they may not know about.
Go ahead, Jeff.
There is one that I'll tell you that jumped out at me immediately, and it would probably be a part of almost everybody in this room, considering most people in here, I'm thinking, are Ole Miss or Mississippi State. Now, there's some others, I'm sure. But in 1918 and 1919, a man named Dudy Noble was the head baseball coach at Ole Miss. And Dudy Noble is really a Mississippi State guy and spent all of his career otherwise at Mississippi State. And for most of you that would know, the baseball field at Mississippi State is called Dudy Noble Field, named after an Ole Miss baseball coach. How about that? But in the true aspect of the rivalry, Dudy Noble's famous quote, which we have in the book, is, "I know what hell is like. I coached at Ole Miss."
It's not a story, but it's the opportunity of being able to quote and tell the experiences of the people. Because look, if you're a baseball person in general, you're going to know Don Kessinger and Jake Gibbs, and 2 guys that are the only two-sport All-Americans in Ole Miss's history. But you're talking about a long major league careers. Don Kessinger, 6 All-Star games, 2 Gold Gloves, one of the faces of the Cubs through a generation. And Jake, who's maybe one of the most gifted storytellers in Mississippi history. And Jeff and I had the ability to have hours and hours and hours of conversations with them and hear the stories, and then find a way to document them for people all throughout the book, because they're littered through the book. Because when you're doing a book like this, there's 20 people that you absolutely have to talk to. And then it gets kind of hard because there's these 100 or these 100, and you can't include everybody. So where are you finding the stories? But you knew that you had so many great anecdotes from Jake and Donnie and Robert Kayat and guys like that, they're getting up in age too. You want to make sure that you can document those things before it's too late to do that, whether it's just memory loss or whatnot. And, one of the best things about that is with Jake Gibbs, we talked to him for 6-7 hours. We thought we had every story, and we've done this 1,000 times. And he calls and says, "Hey, there's one more thing. Let's go back over there real quick." And he goes, "Hey, did I tell you about the time I got cussed out by Ted Williams?" And we're like, we did 10 hours of this, and Major League Baseball Hall of Famer, and he starts telling that story, and he's always just got one more. And I thought, there is something to really books in general, that it's the only thing we do that doesn't go away almost immediately. We do a podcast, we write stories, everybody moves on in a day. But there's a certain living history to a book, and to be able to document and hear from those personalities and those experiences was by far the most special part.
Absolutely. And we do actually have a connection then, because Jake's grandson, Luke, played baseball here. Yeah. So I got that little ICC and Ole Miss tie there as well.
Guys, you're not going to believe the luck I've had lately. Just the other day, I had a flat tire, thought I was in big trouble. Before I know it, somebody pulled it over, fixed the tire.
Oh, that's not luck, Kirk. It's because
that's not the only thing. How about when I'm in a studio, drop the cell phone, bang, shatters completely. Guy hands me a brand new cell phone.
Yeah, Kirk, that's because you have Renasant Rewards Extra.
Yeah, roadside assistance, cell phone protection, coupon straight to your phone.
And another discount with Renasant Rewards Extra, Mr. Herbstreit.
Life's just easier when you have Renasant Rewards Extra.
Are you in the market for a new or used vehicle? Look no further than Metro Ford. We have an incredible selection of F-150s, Explorers, Broncos, and so much more. Whether you're looking for a rugged truck for the job site or a family-friendly SUV, our expert team is here to help you find the perfect vehicle to fit your lifestyle and budget. And with our streamlined financing process, getting behind the wheel of your dream car has never been easier. Stop by today and experience the Metro Ford difference. We're conveniently located at 1000 Barnes Crossing Road in Tupelo. Online at MetroFordAutoSales.com. That's MetroFordAutoSales.com.
That's home. That's just like the Ravens. That's just like Pahokee, Florida. That's my second home. I got my degree from there, my first degree, college degree. It's part of my heart, it's part of my soul, it's part of my spirit. And, it's everything. Itawamba Community College, baby, it's everything. It shaped me up to being a great man, because it was part of the journey of me becoming the young man I am today. And it's home, man. That's it. Like, I could go there and lay my head down without no problems. Itawamba Community College, the best start here.
Welcome to the pasta party!
1, 2, 3.
Making new traditions.
Now let's go and keep going.
Sharing old stories. Homemade pasta.
Enjoy. Cheers to us. We did it.
And a nice cold Coke.
Okay, ready? 1, 2.
That's my recipe for magic.
You belong at Itawamba Community College, and it all begins with orientation. Sign-ups are live, and this is your chance to get registered for classes, meet new friends, and get ready for an exciting year at ICC. Don't wait, spots are limited, and they're going fast. Head to iccms.edu/orientation and sign up today. Itawamba Community College. You belong here.
You're always pushing yourself. There's no time to rest. You keep moving forward. The only thing better than your last accomplishment is your next.
What's next?
What's next?
What's next?
So, Allie, what's next?
I guess we'll see.
Find a bank that's as excited about your future as you are. A bank that asks,
what's next?
Renasant Bank, understanding you.
Oh, you kind of touched on this earlier. How did you guys come together to collab on this book?
Well, we covered baseball and sat closer together than this for many, many years in a press box is one thing. And we've traveled a lot together. And so, we went to Omaha on the World Series trip and hung out together for those 11 days up there. And so it was, I think for us too, to be able to do this book made a lot of sense in a lot of ways. And we were just excited to be able to do it. So, collaborating together and some of our stories, many of them, we've experienced the same things, especially the last 20 years since Chase has been involved with Ole Miss Baseball. But, there's some stories in there about, so many things that we've been through together, and it just made a good fit that we knew that we were the two that should pick this up and run with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can call whether this is a good or bad thing, but we've defined so much of our careers by it. I don't think there were two other people that could have written the book, frankly. I will say that at this point.
I didn't get quite to that point.
Yeah, but I don't know. Let's just cut to the chase. It is what it is.
I figured there was somebody, but I didn't know who it might.
So, players, coaches, administrators. A lot of people helped put into this. You already talked about a few, but who are some other people that really helped pour it into this project?
Well, one thing I want to say on that just to begin with is that when you do a book like this or a project like this, rarely, maybe never, does anybody say, I don't want to be a part of it. All those players, all those former coaches, they all want to be involved in it. So that makes it pretty easy from the get-go. And a lot of the things that we did were we went back and reached to some of our own old stories or former stories or stories from the past that we had written for me in the 1990s at the Oxford Eagle or at the Ole Miss Spirit when I worked there for 20 years. And so, it was easy to get to people, to talk to them and find old stories. So that was part of it. Chase, you might want to add some things to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think as he said, everybody wants to be a part of it. People like talking about themselves. They love telling their stories. They love, reminiscing and having reunion types and playing off of each other in those ways. The biggest thing was let's not tell something had happened, but let's try to find some emotion in it. And I think that was one of the keys too. And Jeff gave me this advice, I think, from the football book was sometimes you call somebody and go, hey, just tell me something I don't know. And it can be that simple of figuring out. This is a great journalism communication tool, is just simply tell me something that would be on your mind or what's the best thing. And, even somebody like Stephen Head, the only 3-time All-American in program history, where I felt like I'd known all of his stories and we'd all written and whatnot. I asked that and started with it, and he led into something that I didn't know. And he thought, okay, that's the way to get to beyond documenting, but telling and finding some emotion in the story.
And Adam, here's one example that I'll give. And some of you may know this particular person. I know some in here do, but there's a pitcher from Tupelo named Will Klein, and Will Klein pitched at Ole Miss about 20 years ago, and Will Klein struggled as a pitcher for a little while, and he had gone through some things, and I didn't know all the reasons or the backstory or anything like that. But when I called Will to talk to him about what turned his career around and some of the things that he went through to get to become an ace on the Ole Miss pitching staff back in 2006 and 2007, he said the magic words, "Let me tell you all about how I got to that point." And that was all I needed to hear because I didn't know any of that. And that gave me the whole story that I needed because I knew a lot of it, but I didn't know the things that he was about to tell me. So if you can get somebody that's that quick to say, let me tell you all of this, then you're in good shape.
And Will's got one of the best quips because he said when he was really bad before he got good, he was on the mound, he was pitching, and Mike walked out. Mike Bianco, Ole Miss's head baseball coach now for 25 years. He walked out and told Will, he goes, "It's really okay. Don't worry about it. It's not your fault for sucking. It's my fault for recruiting you." And he went, okay, that's where we are. So he said sometimes, and he said he got me back going a little bit. We all laughed and we shared a moment. We went from there. So.
Yeah.
So are there any stories that didn't make the book that you guys may want maybe to share now or anything like that? Because there's always that tough editing process where you got to condense things, cut things back, and
Are you asking, is there a volume 2?
No,
is there a volume 2?
Jeff was incredibly paranoid about leaving everybody out because there was no, like as I said, there's no way you're not. So it's just your biggest worry because your heart sinks because you want to have everybody involved. Is somebody walking up to you and going, "Hey, I can't wait to read your book and read about my uncle, dad, whatever." You go, "Man, he's not in the book." You go, "Nah, that doesn't happen." Because that happened to me with the 22 book.
Right.
I write about the national title, and I had a mom contact me and send me a text and go, "Hey, my son's in it, right?" No, not so much. Not at all. So
and that really that bothered me a lot that we were going to leave somebody out or we were going to forget something or that we should have put something in. And I got to admit, it still kind of does. Doesn't seem to bother Chase as much, but I think about it too much probably. But I think what we presented was hopefully a good book, and what we left out.
So how does this book differ from your other books?
Completely different. In 2022, you can write a book about any championship team. They do it. It's all the time. But that season was emotional and strange and had so many different dramatic elements that it actually deserved a book. And there's a difference between writing a book because a team won, where it's just simply a commemorative. Because you can do that where everybody's going to buy it and it's a great Christmas gift and we're just going to celebrate the team that went 60-10. But for that book, you had a head coach that was going to be fired. I knew the day that Mike was going to be fired. They were dead last in the SEC. They were 7-14 in the SEC going into the month of May. They had lost 2 out of 3 at Arkansas, and he held a team meeting and told his coaches, look, I know we're probably done, but show up every day, do the best you can, because at the end, if we get fired, we at least say we tried every day, we didn't leave anything out there, we won't have any regrets in doing so. Basically, I know your wives are upset, I get it, but this is where it's at. At the same time, they've got an outfielder whose mother has been told she has 2 weeks to live. 2 weeks. He's dealing with all that in the process. And they rebound and they find it and they go on this magical run. They win 10 of 11 games in the postseason. They win the College World Series, and T.J. McCants, the outfielder I mentioned, is hugging his mother in Omaha. She passed away a couple months later. There were so many things that element and so many people involved where real life stuff was taking over that Ole Miss had beaten Arkansas to move to the finals against Oklahoma. And I contacted Neil White, who published the current book, and I said, hey, I've got an idea for a book. And he goes, well, I do too, but don't jinx it. Shut up and call me next week if they win. And I said, okay, fine. So I call him the next week and he says, hey, I think you are on to something, but you got to really hurry. And his point was, I met with him for lunch. I think Jeff was with us. And he handed me the book of another author. And I said, is this inspiration? He goes, yeah, but not in the way you think. He goes, this guy took too long to write that story. And once he missed the holiday season, the book was obsolete. We got into the next year. So I did all original reporting for that story and had to write the entire book in 60 days. Wow. It had to get to the editors and the publishers in 60 days. I did my first interview on July 5th. I talked to Keith Carter, the athletics director, and the book was in stores on September the 29th. So that was the turnaround on that. So for this book, it was more about getting it right. We even delayed our deadline a couple times to make sure we really focused in on certain aspects and talked to the right people. That other one was just a sprint. You were just trying to make sure that you told it correctly and well, but it was nowhere near the same process.
That's a whole nother story in itself right there. Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, just to piggyback on what he said was, I was not involved in that 60-day book that he did, so thank goodness. But I worked on one at that point too with Neil White, the editor, the publisher that published our most recent book, and it was more of a photo book. The photographer for Ole Miss and some other people put a book together, and I simply had to do some short stories. Most of them I had already written, either at the regional, the super regional, or in Omaha. So, that was a completely different situation than this. But we had already started thinking about this book. You start thinking about those kind of things, and maybe it takes a little while to get to this point. But we knew we wanted to do another book like the one we've done now. Didn't really know. Maybe we could do it in a couple of years, but it took this long. And then Ole Miss had a good season this past season, which helped kind of get everybody back in the right mindset. So I think the timing on it was good.
What advice would you have, say, if anybody's thinking about writing a book or anything like that? What advice would you guys have other than don't do it? No, I'm kidding. But,
well, I was not going to say don't do it, but I'm going to say one thing, then I'm going to turn it over to Chase. If you think you're going to make a lot of money, just enjoy the writing part, because with the hours you put in on something like this, I'm not saying you can't make money. There's a guy named John Grisham who is from this area too that has made a lot of money writing books. But that's one thing that our publisher Neil White, I went to some book conferences that he put on, some workshops, I guess. But it's not about the money. It's about doing what you love and writing a book and writing stories and. So start with that. If you like to write, or if you have a story to tell, or if you know one that you want to tell of somebody else's, that's where you start. And then you try to figure out if you can make some money or not.
Read a lot, because if you read, you start figuring out things, the ways you want to tell it. There's 2 parts to it. One is just do it. If it's something that's on your head and you can't let it go, because here's the truth. It's hard. It's a lot of work. It's hard. It's mentally draining. It's one of those deals where if you can put it down and be okay, you probably don't want to write it badly enough, because you have to really want to do it. But if you're at that point, just go for it. I mean, I'm scared to death. I mean, I've told some people my next book is fiction. I don't know how to write fiction. I have no idea, but I'm doing it. I'm working on it. We're going to see what happens. I have no preconceived notions, but here we are. Once it gets written, the technology today, and this goes for a lot of things. This goes for podcasts or anything else. It's really easy to get something out there. Now, it's really hard to get anybody to read it or to make money off of it, but it's really easy to do. So Kindle, they have a company, Amazon has a company called KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing. it's free. You can just simply upload manuscripts. They are available on Amazon. If anybody wants to buy it, it's there to buy. It's actually what I did for my first book, because Neil White told me it was still coming out of the pandemic to some extent. And he said, I can't get the paper necessary as fast as you need to turn this thing around. So he helped me a ton with editing, and we hired a layout person and all that. But as far as the actual publishing process, it was technically self-published because I used KDP. I ordered all the author copies, sent them to stores myself, and then at the same time, Amazon's printing the book. So if you bought from Amazon, it went directly from them to the consumer. Okay. Yeah, so KDP is an excellent resource if you are at that point.
Gotcha. Well, you kind of hinted at what's next. You know, of course, Renasant, a big sponsor. Got to get that plug in for us here. Yeah. Renasant Bank. Find out what's next. RenasantBank.com. What's next?
I hope I'm not covering a coaching search in about a month. That's immediately what's next from a football standpoint. Yeah, book-wise, I'm slowly getting through a fiction book that I've had in my head for a really, really long time. I don't know dates. I don't know when it's coming, but it's something that, as I said, I have to do it mentally. So that's where we are at this point. But beyond that, just, working on podcasts. And I've only been at my current job now from a website side for about 3, 4, 5 months, whatever it is. So still building, still getting used to some new after 15 years at the old place. So that's kind of what I've got going on.
Yeah. What's next? There's a book signing in Memphis. There's a book signing in Jackson. There's a book signing Nashville. We're having, those are the next things. And beyond that, I really hadn't given a whole lot of thought to another book yet. And I write some, and I've gotten some folders of things that I might put together for some things. But unlike Chase, I've never really been as interested in doing a fiction book as I have nonfiction or fact book or true book or whatever you want to say. I don't know that. I'm not saying I won't ever do that, but so for now, I'm just enjoying coming to places like ICC and sharing this book with you guys. So we'll look ahead later.
It feels like the deck is stacked against you before you even start your business. What's the difference between someone who fails and someone who succeeds? To succeed, you need an edge. You might invent technology that nobody else can imagine. Maybe you make the perfect product with the perfect fit. But what every successful business has is a bank that is there for them. Instead of saying slow down, a bank that asks, what's next? Renasant Bank, understanding you.
Are you in the market for a new or used vehicle? Look no further than Metro Ford. We have an incredible selection of F-150s, Explorers, Broncos, and so much more. Whether you're looking for a rugged truck for the job site or a family-friendly SUV, our expert team is here to help you find the perfect vehicle to fit your lifestyle and budget. And with our streamlined financing process, getting behind the wheel of your dream car has never been easier. Stop by today and experience the Metro Ford difference. We're conveniently located at 1000 Crossing Road in Tupelo. Online at MetroFordAutoSales.com. That's MetroFordAutoSales.com.
ICC fans, we've got you covered like never before. The all-new Let'sGoICC.com is your award-winning home for everything ICC athletics, and when it's game time or showtime, head to Let'sGoICCTV.com, the official streaming home for ICC athletics, fine arts, and other special events. Watch it live or on demand anytime, anywhere. Let'sGoICC.com and Let'sGoICCTV.com, your front row seat for all things ICC.
They say Diet Coke is a mom's drink. Well, you copied her jeans, her spin, her shoes, her scrunchie, and whether you realize it or not, her music. Now, copy her drink. Drink what your mama gave you.
Hey, honey, could you help me with this? Today tastes like staying in. And it never tasted this good.
Guys, you're not going to believe the luck I've had lately. Just the other day, I had a flat tire, thought I was in big trouble. Before I know it, somebody pulled it over, fixed the tire.
Oh, that's not luck, Kirk. It's because
that's not the only thing. How about when I'm in a studio, drop the cell phone, bang, shatters completely. Guy hands me a brand new cell phone.
Yeah, Kirk, that's because you have Renasant Rewards Extra.
Yeah, roadside assistance, cell phone protection, coupon straight to your phone.
And another discount with Renasant Rewards Extra, Mr. Herbstreit.
Life's just easier when you have Renasant Rewards Extra.
A couple of things I do need to pass along. If you're an incoming student or if you've got an incoming student into the ICC family, orientation is coming up fast And now there's only 3 sessions left before the fall semester begins because all of our June sessions have now filled up. Those remaining orientation sessions are Tuesday, July the 14th at 1 p.m. on our Tupelo campus. And then the other is going to be Wednesday, July the 15th at 8:30 in the morning, and then again 1 o'clock in the afternoon on the Fulton campus. Now, why is this important? All first-time freshmen are required to attend one orientation session before classes begin. Here's a cool part about it. There's no cost to these orientations, so no added fees there for you to have to pay to be able to go to orientation. But orientation is a chance to get comfortable, ask questions, meet people, and start figuring out where everything fits before the semester gets rolling. Now, you can register online at iccms.edu/orientation. That's iccms.edu/orientation. If you have any questions, maybe you need a little help, you can email orientation@iccms.edu. Again, that email address is orientation@iccms.edu. Maybe you're like me. Maybe you're more comfortable talking to someone one-on-one. That way one question leads to another. You can get them all answered at once. Well, we do encourage you to also come by and visit us on our Tupelo or Fulton campuses Monday through Thursday from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Somebody will be happy to help you there, get you set up, even if you need to apply for college, because you got to apply before you can go to orientation. Those folks will be happy to help you there. You can also do that online at apply.iccms.edu. One more reminder, especially for the parents and maybe grandparents out there. If you're looking for something for the kids to do this summer, ICC still has a lot of summer camps happening here on our Fulton campus. There are camps and activities that give young people a chance to spend time on campus, learn from our coaches, instructors, work on their skills, and just basically have a lot of fun here at ICC. But those spots, a lot like orientation, are going quickly. As a matter of fact, some camps have already filled up and we've had to remove them from the list. So be sure and check to see what camps are still available. You can see that full list of camps, sign up, and pay in advance by visiting the homepage of letsgoicc.com. Again, that's letsgoicc.com. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll hear from Dr. Jay Allen and his conversation with Gerard Gibbert during graduation as the ICC Hour rolls on here. And as always, the ICC Hour is made possible thanks to Renasant Bank.
You're always pushing yourself. There's no time to rest. You keep moving forward. The only thing better than your last accomplishment is your next.
What's next? What's next?
What's next?
So, Allie, what's next?
I guess we'll see.
Find a bank that's as excited about your future as you are. A bank that asks,
what's next?
Renasant Bank, understanding you.
You belong at Itawamba Community College, and it all begins with orientation. Sign-ups are live, and this is your chance to get registered for classes, meet new friends, and get ready for an exciting year at ICC. Don't wait, spots are limited, and they're going fast. Head to iccms.edu/orientation and sign up today. Itawamba Community College. You belong here.
Are you in the market for a new or used vehicle? Look no further than Metro Ford. We have an incredible selection of F-150s, Explorers, Broncos, and so much more. Whether you're looking for a rugged truck for the job site or a family-friendly SUV, our expert team is here to help you find the perfect vehicle to fit your lifestyle and budget. And with our streamlined financing process, getting behind the wheel of your dream car has never been easier. Stop by today and experience the Metro Ford difference. We're conveniently located at 1000 Barnes Crossing Road in Tupelo. Online at MetroFordAutoSales.com. That's MetroFordAutoSales.com.
They say Diet Coke is a mom's drink. Well, you copied her jeans, her spin, her shoes, her scrunchie, and whether you realize it or not, her music. Now, copy her drink. Drink what your mama gave you.
Hey, honey, could you help me with this? Today tastes like staying in. And it never tasted this good.
Guys, you're not going to believe the luck I've had lately. Just the other day, I had a flat tire, thought I was in big trouble. Before I know it, somebody pulled over, fixed the tire.
Oh, that's not luck, Kirk. It's because
That's not the only thing. How about when I'm in a studio, drop the cell phone, bang, shatters completely. Guy hands me a brand new cell phone.
Yeah, Kirk, that's because you have Renasant Rewards Extra.
Yeah, roadside assistance, cell phone protection, coupon straight to your phone.
And another discount with Renasant Rewards Extra, Mr. Herbstreit.
Life's just easier when you have Renasant Rewards Extra.
We're going to wrap things up real quick. Before we do, we're going to talk about the future of college sports. Now, we're not going to dig into the NIL and all that madness, but
let's
also
do that. That's good. That's
also, but the sports journalism side of things. We've all been in this for over 20 years, and my goodness, the change over the last 5 years has been more than the change of the previous 15. But let's just, I guess, discuss some of the biggest changes you guys have seen in the world of sports journalism.
I'm just going to say one thing, and then I'm going to turn it back over to Chase. I used to hold a newspaper in my hands when I started, so it's all changed since then.
Yeah.
No, but I guess really he has too. But I've been through so many different levels of what you do to get to this point. From, I mean, when I was working at the Ole Miss Spirit, which is now only a website, obviously. I mean, we would print on Mondays. We would go to the Oxford newspaper and print. We would bag them up. We would take them to the post office and throw bags and pick up, and it was so different then. But now, I'm a little bit out of all of that. So that's why I'm going to turn it back over to Chase, because as far as, him knowing what the future of this is, really it's what's now and what's coming up, and if you can predict things. But I've seen all of those changes, and again, he has to for the most part.
Yeah, we could spend hours on this, but the two things that I think are the most relevant to change in sports journalism is, number one, the journalist, the person, matters more than the publication for the first time ever. I gave an example earlier of back in the day, and not really that long ago, if you work for the New York Times, the New York Times is what carried weight, or whatever the publication was, and you create it to your own area, and you had access and you had all this respect simply because you worked for that place. Well, look, number one, media literacy is worse than ever, just as far as the public, and that goes for two reasons. That's one, is we don't read as well as we used to, and two, the journalism is bad across the country in ways that it wasn't. Where the person is now the brand. And I say brand loosely because I don't want you to think I'm talking about influencing or anything like that. But what I am saying is people are focused on the people they want to read, and they search out even people inside publications at this point. So if you're going into this field, you have to be aware that you need to be very smart about your social media presence. Say things only in ways that you want to. Don't put anything out on Twitter or Instagram that you would not write in your publication. Make that the same. Copying, editing, the whole deal. Do not change in what you do there. And then two, remember that people are following you across platforms. So look, I think the worst advice ever that journalists get is, hey, just simply try to have a little bit of everything and don't worry about specializing. Just do it all. Sure, know how to do it all, but be really good at something. Find that thing that's your passion, make that your primary, and then have some understanding. Because if you're a writer, you're going to have to do podcast interviews. You're going to have to be on video some. You're going to be on social media. Look, there is no more, hey, we're going to go file the story. We don't have to worry about it till the next morning. You're on call to some degree 24 hours a day. So be aware of your brand, be aware of what you're doing, and understand that I need to understand how to tell each story from a little bit of all different mediums. And there is something that's to that. And then two, I don't think in college athletics you can be a good reporter unless you understand some semblance of business today. There's just too many things going on between NIL and rev share or collective bargaining agreements in professional sports. Take your pick. Frankly, even in high school and prep reporting, there's business elements now that there weren't there 10, 15 years ago. You're going to have to be somewhat all-encompassing. You don't have to be an expert, but ask questions, find people that are experts, interview them, ask them questions, write stories with experts giving you answers. You're going to have a basic understanding of the business elements, because we are no longer in a world where sports journalism is about just simply who wins and who's next at this point. If you cannot tell the business side to some degree, you can't educate your listenership in any way or readership in any way.
Can I give you one more throwback story?
Absolutely.
Y'all got time for one more? This is how far back I've seen it change, but this is still how current I think the people that I'm about to mention are involved in. Who watched, I guess it was last night, anybody watch the Monday Night Football game? I know there was the World Series on and other things too, but anybody watch the Manning cast ever on the other, whatever ESPN platform it is? So in 1994, in January, I was pretty new at the Oxford Eagle, and Peyton Manning was about to decide where to go to college. And so Gene Phelps, who was at the time sports editor of the Tupelo paper, and many of y'all know him, my editor sent me and Gene together. Gene was going, and I jumped in and went with him. But just to get to this point of the story, I don't have to go through everything else, but to tell you how crazy, and in a way, I think as you get older, it seems like a short time ago. Hello, Chris Burris. Talking about Gene Phelps right now. Gene and I left to go to Peyton's press conference in New Orleans. It was going to be the next day. We left, drove down, spent the night, got up the next morning. Archie Manning was going to call on to the radio station WWL in New Orleans and tell everyone where Peyton was going. So this was the world back then. And again, Peyton's still, he's still fairly young to me, but, I know he's not, but he's close. So we hear on the radio that Peyton is going to Tennessee. No cell phones, no anything, no instant information at all. We pull off at the next convenience store we see where there are two payphones. Anybody know what a payphone is? He calls the Daily Journal. I call the Oxford Eagle. I just, that's how much things have changed in a relatively short period of time for a lot of people in this room because, Peyton's still hanging around doing a lot of things. And just one of the stories that I kind of can put in perspective what I've seen. And then Chase can take it from here to this point after, and tell you exactly what or precisely what he thinks is going to happen in the future.
Say, Story Time with Uncle Gene has always been the podcast I have pitched to Gene Phelps, but he will not do it. But I'm going to twist his arm and eventually get it done.
Tell him I'll jump in once a month with him or something.
It's a done deal. Good lead into that. So what's next? What do you think the next big thing is when it comes to not only sports journalism but journalism itself?
There's 10. Navigating AI. I don't want to get too far deep into it, and I was asked a great question about it during the Humanities Club meeting because, look, deep fakes and fake photos and fake videos are only going to get more aggressive. They're only going to get better. There's a bit of an attack on creators in general because of that, because it's so easy to fake things and to not use talented people for the things that they have their craft in. Major League Baseball, the Associated Press for years now has been using AI to write Major League Baseball recaps where no human writes it. The ad gets completely done by Associated Press, by not GPT, but AI, just simply tabulating the specific statistics and putting them into a broad-based inverted pyramid story. It's not hurting us as far as my work. I do podcasts. Nobody's going to be able to necessarily copy that in the same way. But my information goes into these systems and gets, used to teach AI in a lot of ways. And it does educate them and ChatGPT in different ways like that. But no, I think it is very much we've got to be really careful and we've got to educate our students on not, I use this phrase, it's a tool, it's not a crutch. There's a difference. We have to know how to do things. We have to know how to do them well. And then if we do that, maybe it can be a time saver. Maybe it can be something that does assist us, but we can't jump all the way to there. We've still got to really sharpen those skills. We've got to be good listeners. Listen. It's the number one skill out there is listening. It's not talking. It's not writing. It's not doing anything, but it's hearing our fellow person. Because look, I do it too. I am addicted to my cell phone. But so many students out there, I'm sure you're talking to somebody and you're either looking at your phone while you're talking to them, or you're listening only enough where you can start saying what you want to say again. You're not stopping and taking a pause and hearing for the follow-up or the feedback. And I think that there is, frankly, an opportunity in some ways for the students that really focusing on those soft skills and the listening and the writing and staying to their craft. They're going to jump so far ahead of some people who are trying to cheat the system because, look, it's still going to be a creative business. But we have to be very, very careful that we don't take easy way outs with AI and that we manipulate our systems and how we do content simply because it's there and it's easy or it's cheaper. And I think that's the thing that is next that scares me, depending on what part of communications and what part of media you're in, is what do we have to be aware of? What do we have to be fearful of? And then also what can help us? And we don't know the answers to that because we don't know where this is going to stop or when certain businesses see it pop from an investment standpoint or not pop from an investment standpoint. And I think every day we're learning in that way. You know, I use it a little bit for some different things, but I make sure that I am very efficient and proficient in those things before I touch it or let it do anything for me.
Yeah, as you said, it is a very easy crutch to fall on, especially when you've got 7 games in a week and you're tired and you got 7 more staring you down the barrel. So, guys, before we take questions from the crowd, any final thoughts?
Jeff?
It's just been an honor to be here, and I really appreciate the invitation and Chase's old grounds over here, and you know, just this is so different than most of the book signings that we go to, that this, after having taught some classes at Ole Miss in fairly recent years, you know, this is important, and this is good that we're here with you guys, and hopefully you get something out of it.
Take advantage of your opportunities. You're at a great place to meet people and to network and connect. Go to the events, go to the speakers, use them, start building the Rolodex, send the emails, and then you're going to call me old, you're going to laugh at me. If you take one thing outside of listening, take that first, but write thank you notes, handwritten thank you notes. They go an incredibly long way. It matters. Nobody does it anymore, and you move up 5-6 levels simply by writing a thank you note. Get an address and send a note.
Yep. It's one thing I always say, thank you is the 2 powerful words that we don't use enough today. So, guys, thank y'all for being part of this. And that's going to do it for this edition of the ICC Hour, as always, presented by our friends over at Renasant Bank. A big thank you to ICC alumnus Chase Parham and Jeff Roberson for joining us and sharing part of their story with our Humanities Club. Their conversation around the stories from Ole Miss Baseball was a fun reminder that sports are never just about the final score. They're about the people, the places, the memories, and the moments that stay with us long after the game is over. We also appreciate their perspective on journalism, how much the business has changed, and what the future may look like as technology and AI continue to shape the way stories are told, shared, and consumed. Now, this was an abbreviated version of our full conversation, so if you enjoyed today's show, be sure and check out the entire interview on our athletic YouTube channel. Just search From ICC to the SEC. Again, that's the title of the video, From ICC to the SEC. And while you're there, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future interviews, features, and stories around ICC athletics. As always, thank you for listening and spending part of your day with us. You can go back and revisit this show anytime by searching the ICC Hour on YouTube or by visiting the on-demand section of letsgoicctv.com. We'll be back again next Tuesday at 1 o'clock unless Ole Miss Baseball is playing, so either way, you want to stay locked in right here to SuperTalk Mississippi 101.9 FM. Until then, I'm Adam Gore. Thanks for listening to the ICC Hour presented by Renasant Bank. And as always, Roll Tribe.
Guys, you're not going to believe the luck I've had lately. Just the other day, I had a flat tire, thought I was in big trouble. Before I know it, somebody pulled over, fixed the tire.
Oh, that's not luck, Kirk. It's because
that's not the only thing. How about when I'm in a studio, drop the cell phone, bang, shatters completely. Guy hands me a brand new cell phone.
Yeah, Kirk, that's because you have Renasant Rewards Extra.
Yeah, roadside assistance, cell phone protection, coupon straight to your phone.
And another discount with Renasant Rewards Extra, Mr. Herbstreit.
Life's just easier when you have Renasant Rewards Extra.
ICC fans, we've got you covered like never before. The all-new Let'sGoICC.com is your award-winning home for everything ICC athletics, and when it's game time or showtime, head to Let'sGoICCTV.com, the official streaming home for ICC athletics, fine arts, and other special events. Watch it live or on demand anytime, anywhere. Let'sGoICC.com and Let'sGoICCTV.com, your front row seat for all things ICC.
Are you in the market for a new or used vehicle? Look no further than Metro Ford. We have an incredible selection of F-150s, Explorers, Broncos, and so much more. Whether you're looking for a rugged truck for the job site or a family-friendly SUV, our expert team is here to help you find the perfect vehicle to fit your lifestyle and budget. And with our streamlined financing process, getting behind the wheel of your dream car has never been easier. Stop by today and experience the Metro Ford difference. We're conveniently located at 1000 Barnes Crossing Road in Tupelo. Online at MetroFordAutoSales.com. That's MetroFordAutoSales.com.
It all leads to this moment. It started with stepping out and discovering what you're capable of. Planning your future while learning, serving, and getting a real collegiate experience. Because the place you start can change everything. Itawamba Community College. You belong here.